It's about time.
It's a groundbreaker.
Very strategic.
It is significant. No, I'm just excited to see this report.
It's a win-win.
It's going to be a game changer.
So the long and short of this idea that began to play out maybe 3.5 years ago, and now we are about to celebrate, is a confluence of brand as a craft and women as a passion. So what was important for me at the time was to identify, crystallize the idea, identify a partner that I could execute, because I realized this was much bigger than BSD Group had the capacity to employ. And I knocked on the doors of an excellent partner in Ipsos, who immediately understood the idea and decided to run the full marathon with me. I want to celebrate Ipsos because when I first knocked on their door, their CEO, Chris Gedaiga, opened a door wide and he said, "Come through. This is an innovative idea, and because it is innovative and social impacting by nature, we will support you."
Leveraging two big brands, it brings in the brand understanding. It brings activations, and also when looking at how to take things to market. Well, Ipsos bringing the research.
We seldom have access, if any, to scientific evidence of women as consumers. We have not had any benchmarks or any tangible evidence of what their dreams and aspirations are, what their fears, what their anxieties are, what their needs, what their wants are. And I looked around, I couldn't find anything.
100 most loved brands by women, I think first of all is also a novel idea.
You need to understand, the key decision makers in households that are whether they are single or they are they're married. These two influence the decision making. So and over time, this segment has been overlooked.
And therefore, the purchasing decision is originated or influenced significantly by the women. Now, this report is coming out at a time when banks are on the journey of trying to develop products to address those needs, and I'm sure this report will enrich that journey that banks have already embarked on.
We cannot assume that whatever works for women will work for men. In some instances it does, but in some cases it doesn't, and this is where it's important to understand the difference.
Regarding the top 100 brands most loved by women, is that it's important that we take stakeholder and especially customer feedback into consideration as we develop our products and services.
$18.6 trillion that are part of the consumption budget globally. 12 point is controlled by women. Now, if that isn't something that should shake our boardrooms and bring us to the table to have conversations afresh, then I don't know what it is that we need to hear.
We have seemed to focus on technology as being the greatest disruptor of the marketplace. But really the power of a woman is the secondary and probably most important disruptor of that space.
So if you're a business owner, then you know where to focus your products, especially if you're among those brands. For the marketers, I think then they know which brands to push harder to the women. And then I think for product development, it's even how to package that product.
We are very visual as women. So if I want to buy, for example, a container of drinking chocolate, what it looks like calls me as much as the contents of it. All, and no disrespect meant, if you have an all-male design team, you're going to be, from data seen, talking to 15% of the market. You're losing out on the 85%. 90% of the businesses within the mall, I would say outside the supermarket, are female-run or female-instituted.
To start seeing a lot of our Kenyan businesses taking such spaces that are usually taken over by multinational foreign companies, it's an exciting moment for the country. And those are the places I want to see them. I'd like to see BSD and Ipsos doing something like this in Nigeria or in South Africa or any other country.
We think it's really timely that we have various conversations taking place, including how do we position the issue of brands and really identify what the taste and brands of women are, and really how then does this inform a lot of products and how services then should be delivered.
We have been looking at brands, looking at women. Data-driven information is very, very critical.
Men have been accused of being very spontaneous. I mean, we see things and we buy. A woman wants to analyze what's the cost of that product, what's the quality of that product, what are the comparables of that product before that decision is made.
I know that it is perceived that the man has bought the house or the home. But if you really interrogate that decision, there is such a strong influence that I want to suggest to you would be of a female gender.
We want to speak to all of the people along the value chain in the built environment sector that please consider women. And so when we're talking about affordable housing, it has to listen to how do women fit inside of the purchasing of this? What are the unique design items that should be included?
And so I think this study will be important because it will say if women love this brand, then I think ideally we should now look at what are the characteristics of these brands and see whether we can be able to create matching products or other products. So it's a very important study in my view, and it's going to be helpful.
We find that because women have become more enlightened, women are working more, women have greater purchasing power, so they're making many decisions around what is being consumed in spaces. I want a brand, for instance, I can tell you something very simple, mafuta ya kujipaka, oil that we apply. I want an oil, particularly when I put it in my handbag, it will fit one. I don't have to struggle, open it. It's small things like that.
So I want this study to be a tool that makes all of us make better decisions, makes more inclusive decisions, recognizes the diversity of the decisions that are made in any transaction.
Women want to engage. Women are about relationships. Men perhaps are, what's the end, how do I buy this, if you will?
If you look at the whole value chain of agriculture, you'll find women in the farms, you'll find women in purchasing, you'll find them in sales, you'll find women controlling agriculture in this country very, very strongly. If you look at a lot of our packaging, for instance, and a lot of our products, they're very masculine driven.
It's more for me about how does a product make me feel? Is it going to feed into my need at that particular time? And then I consume it. I'm just talking about myself.
I think the fact that we are both logical and emotional tends to have a plus on a business.
If you look at every media organization, there is specialization on targeting women, especially in relation to consumerism. Every newspaper has a women section. Now, this research, coming at a time when media is just emerging from a very lean time, teaches us something. It's targeted, data-driven research. It is a goldmine for media.
We find that our membership is more than 40% women. And one of the things we've recognized is really the value of women in the decision-making role. So whether it's from the purchasing decisions or whether it's women sitting on the board.
I'll be looking forward to building my strategy around my consumers and then looking at will my purchasing power increase for this made in Kenya product?
Women generally tend to be much more loyal to a brand once they like it. Good CEOs won't differentiate now. It's who's good will come forward, and by nature, women, they're multitaskers. They work harder than men. They're more progressive, they're more open-minded.
I would want to see this study be celebrated by the women of Kenya, that they now become recognized by the policymaker, by the business owner. I have enjoyed a lot of love, affirmation, celebration, support from so many different people. A word here, a cheer here, an encouragement there. I am humbled by the affirmation and the love that I have secured, not just from my internal teams, but from my external teams. So all the celebrations and salutations, I want to say thank you.